Marcelo Bielsa looks set to continue this campaign, and they were also in cup action during the week as they brushed aside lower league side Crewe Alexandra. It's back to the bread and butter of the league today, though, as they look to get off the mark in their second consecutive season at this level for the first time since 2004. We are just waiting for the two teams to make their way out here, both making changes coming into this game. Leeds in one corner of the ground here. To Burnley. He'll be part of the squad for their next game, you would imagine, on the other side of the international break, away at Everton in the Monday Night Football. But today they have to work with what they have. A side that know their roles to try and impress the England boss, Gareth Southgate. We are just around a minute away from kick-off here at Turf Moor. Just seeable to you with Alex Crook and Chris Perry on our main channel, and then 4:30 start at Molineux in the Black Country for Wolves against Manchester United. Well, Burnley could really do with getting themselves a victory. They've lost each of their last 5 Premier League games. They are without a win here at home in quite some time. They've not won here since the 27th of January, when they were winners by 3-2 against Aston Villa. Some 7 months have passed since then. This would be the perfect time to find that winning feeling again in front of their own fans. Leeds were 4-0 winners here at the end of last season. From Rodrigo, Harrison and Click also scoring. And the fans that have been able to travel for this game, in comparison to that one, will be hopeful again of 3 points. Mixed reception as the two sets of players take a knee here at Turf Moor. We're on the way. Burnley against Leeds here. One of the early games of the day in the Premier League. And Leeds in possession from the off. Looking to build up and find themselves an early breakthrough. I'll let you know about the goals as they go in elsewhere in that game in North London between Spurs and Watford. There's plenty of action in the league yesterday. This is the final round of games before the first international break of the season. Manchester City 5-0 winners against the 10 men of Arsenal. 1-1 between Villa and Brentford. Brighton 2-0, they were beaten at home by Everton. 2-2 between Newcastle and Southampton. Leicester taking the points at Norwich, winning 2-1. 2-2 between West Ham and Crystal Palace. And 1-1 between Liverpool and Chelsea, who saw Reece James sent off. To Tarkowski, who plays a long high ball forward, looking for the head of Wood, who's looking for the knockdown there to Barnes. Leeds in possession on the edge of their own penalty area. We've played a little over a minute, but referee, he's having a word now with Tarkowski and Bamford. A bit of a wrestling match between the two actually on halfway. Mike Oliver saying, look, there's no need for any of that. Stay apart and play your own games, and he'll let play continue. £15 million they reckon that Burnley have paid for Maxwell Cornet. As I said, not involved here today, but we are expecting him to debut the other side of the international break as they play Everton at Goodison Park. Strong challenge by Calvin Phillips in midfield. Breaks here for Harrison on the left for Leeds. Back to half Dallas. Liam Cooper the captain. Llorente on the right hand side, striding forward, playing it into midfield. Bamford, a former Burnley player actually, played 6 times for the Clarets when he was on loan from Chelsea under Sean Dyche from September to January in 2016-17. Player had plenty of loan spells before eventually settling with Leeds. Things have certainly gone up. 0-0 the score here on Premier League Live. Pope, who sweeps it clear to halfway. Marcelo Bielsa and Sean Dyche standing on the edge of their respective technical areas here, overseeing proceedings at close quarters. Tarkowski being put under pressure by Harrison, who's harrying him here, manages to get it away in the end. The Burnley defender has done really well. Mee has to go back to Pope, and Leeds pressing high as they always do. The path of Rodrigo, but the Spaniard loses it here, and Burnley will try and break out. They're looking long. It's high towards Barnes, who touches it on, but man who was closest by, Charlie Taylor, couldn't get there in time. Come on Burnley is the chant from the home fans. It's been a lively start, good tempo to this one. Said Burnley have lost their last 5 here. They've only suffered a longer run of home league defeats once in the club's entire history. A run of 7 consecutive defeats back in February 1890, and there aren't too many fans around these days who remember that. Dallas back to Cooper. Struijk, who plenty thought would start in midfield today, but he's actually playing at the back for Leeds. The two clashing again. And frequently Bamford complaining to the referee. They did get the free kick, and they've taken it short, and they've gone back already. Both sides looking for a first win of the Premier League season. Ball played into the channel here for Bamford to chase. Pope in the end is the man who comes across and shepherds it out of play. Sean Dyche only had hoping Cornet the first of that money. But the question is, do they want Sean Dyche, or do they want a different brand and style of football? Here come Leeds down the left. Rodrigo into Harrison. Bamford's waiting to have a throw in halfway inside the Burnley half. Dallas tries to take the throw, but the ball fell out of his hands. All smiles as he rolls the ball in his shirt and takes it again here. Forward by Cooper. Harrison off the left. And this is Calvin Phillips sitting in front of that back three for Leeds. And then Rodrigo slightly advanced ahead of him. Nil-nil still between Spurs and Watford. And with Harry Kane well and truly back in the mix now for Nuno Espirito Santo's side. In anger just yet. Leeds though dominating possession early on. Harrison wide left, and he plays a long diagonal ball here looking for the run of Bamford, but an easy header back from Taylor into the arms of Nick Pope. Chucks the ball down and looks to pump it long as quickly as possible onto the head of Chris Wood, but it misses him and goes all the way through to Meslier. He plays it out after a touch to control here into the path of Llorente. McNeil wins it back for Burnley, a first real involvement for him. Dwight McNeil in the penalty area, low ball across and played away by Cooper. Comes back out here, still a chance maybe for Burnley, but Leeds will eventually bring it clear now with Phillips. And they can try and counter here with Rodrigo, who goes over halfway and slides it down the right hand side. Rafinha, he's onto it, edge of the box, first time ball into the area, but an easy catch for Pope, who urges calm and tries to get his team to chill a bit here after that counter attack again by the referee. Leeds in possession. Ayling, Phillips, well and truly part of the England setup as well. Saw him star in the European Championship in the summer for Gareth Southgate's side. Carrying it out here for Leeds. It's the Spaniard Diego Llorente, signed from Real Sociedad, once on the books of Real Madrid quite a while ago now. Never played too many games for them though. Jan Berg Gudmundsson off the right here for Burnley. Lowton, Gudmundsson, his early cross. Mellier's come to collect and he's flapping a bit there, gets a hand to it and grabs it at the second attempt. He's no slouch, but he's not the biggest in terms of strength and muscle. A slip here by me could let Leeds in. Over the halfway line they go. To Harrison on the left hand side. He's cut out by Westwood. Back into the box for Bamford. Snapshot from him. Goes right the way across the penalty area and out the other side for a goal kick. Well, moment of worry there for Burnley at least, as they were carved open. But in the end it didn't matter. Bamford was played well onside by me, who stepped up late. And it would have been a goal had they been able to convert their Leeds United. Twelve and a half minutes gone at Turf Moor. Burnley 0, Leeds 0. This game featuring a clash of styles, with Burnley averaging a Premier League low 34.7% possession so far. Leeds averaging the third most with shade under 61%. Leeds actually registered the highest possession total by any team this season, with 70% against Everton last Saturday, though that was topped by Manchester City against Arsenal yesterday. City had about 80% of the ball, I think it was. The possession counts for little if you can't find the net, as we all know. And get it into the penalty area. In the end he hit it against Taylor, then went back off Ayling and out of play. Throwing to Burnley in their own defensive third here. Throw forward eventually by Taylor. He's a former Leeds player in the ranks. He was with them until 2017. He was a firm fixture in their squad from 2014 to 17 as well, before moving up to Burnley, switching divisions. This game hasn't really got going yet in both penalty areas. It's been a quiet one for both goalkeepers. So far Leeds have scored 3 times this season. Ayling with what turned out to be a consolation for Leeds in the 5-1 hammering at Manchester United. Click and Rafinha both on the score sheet against Everton last Saturday. Barnes has been penalised here by the referee. Just holding a big chunk of Pascal Struijk's shirt. Unite ailing on halfway, rolls it down the line here. Rafinha trying to get the flick on, but nothing comes. Burnley have a player, Dwight McNeil, dumped down to the deck here. Sean Dyche asking the referee why play hasn't been stopped. But Burnley continuing. They didn't put the ball out, and they continue to attack here. And now eventually a foul on Westwood. McNeil is down here holding his shin, not exactly sure how badly he was caught. The physio's attending to him now, and Calvin Phillips goes to offer a word of apology. It was his challenge on the England under-21 international. Caught him on the top of his boot. Maybe a painful one, an impact injury and nothing more. Don't think there'll be any lasting damage. So a free kick here then to Burnley, in off the right touchline. And this by Struijk for a goal kick to Leeds United. Still waiting for the first meaningful piece of action, really. Ailing, trying to play a direct ball forward. Burnley able to cut that one out. Dallas can't pick up the loose ball, and instead it's a high one here, looking for the run of Wood. It's on his chest. In another former Leeds man blocked off there. Burnley though have it back. Goodmanson on the right. Westwood challenged once and twice, and he eventually gets it for him. And that is always a painful one, even if it looks fairly innocuous. High in here from McNeil. Meslier comes to catch, and well, he was blocked off partially, and in the end has to grab the ball as he's falling away. Now a free kick to Leeds on the right hand side after Brownhill gets it too tight to his man. And a yellow card has been shown here to Josh Brownhill. It was a late challenge on Bamford as he was away. I don't think Brownhill can look at that back and have too many complaints, really. In the free kick to Leeds, wide right. Calvin Phillips in, it's nodded on by Cooper, but harmlessly away for a goal kick. There is a big week coming up. Although we go into an international break, the summer transfer window rather closes on Tuesday evening. So one to have a look at, really, because there will be a number of players on the move. You can guarantee that. Although it's a bank holiday here, with everyone having a day off. Tomorrow, on the 30th of August, business for football clubs will be continuing. You can guarantee that, as it always tends to do towards the end of the window. Neil back up on his feet after that slight injury for him a few minutes ago. In the 21st minute, it's Burnley 0, Leeds 0 though. Here's McNeil trying to cross. The arms were behind his back there from Llorente to make sure he wasn't going to give away a penalty. Burnley have a decision over on the left-hand side. It's a throw-in, is it? Oh, it's a corner, in fact. Ball went out right by the corner flag. It'll be a in-swinging corner from the left-hand side here to be taken by Westwood. Llorente and Wood being spoken to here by the referee. Everyone bunching around Meslier, and it comes now, and well, Wood has gone down here inside the box. The referee pointing to the corner taker again. I think he wants it retaken here, but Wood and Llorente in a grappling match, and Llorente not even looking at the ball and manhandling Wood there, who went down. Llorente has got to be very, very careful. They'll try again. Llorente. In comes the corner this time. Meslier gets a hand to it. It comes back out and Leeds able to clear. But again, the Burnley fans not happy with the treatment of their players. Mellier's come again, and he grabs the ball on the edge of his own penalty area. But the boos, because of the fact that Wood and Llorente again were in a tangling match there. Wood was having his shirt pulled. Llorente in possession on the edge of his own box. He's fouled here and wins a free kick for the Whites, who are in all blue today in their change kit. Meslier, well out to the right hand side where it's taken on by Llorente, who jogs to the halfway line with the ball, now tries to play it in field towards the feet of Rodrigo. Burnley though have it back and have a bit of a zip to their play at the moment. Goodmanson coming in off the left. Infield it goes here to Brownhill, the only player to receive a yellow card so far. Taylor, McNeil from deep, his cross is over the head of Wood and Barnes. Dallas with one header away, and then again claims of handball against on for an offside flag. So a free kick to Leeds here on the edge of their own penalty area. Meslier away, looking long towards Bamford. It goes over his head. It goes all the way back to Pope, who has to control on the chest. I swear it's still Tottenham 0, Watford 0. A bit more goalmouth action there than there has been here. Still waiting really for an effort on goal from either side. We've played 25 minutes. Barnes on the right. Harrison went through him to win the ball. Burnley with a free kick here. And it's the kind of set play that Leeds cannot afford to give away. So this is the area here where Burnley can just lift the ball into the penalty area. And they have a number of players who are more than willing to attack it. So a free kick in off the right touchline here for Burnley. Westwood curls it in. It's going to go all the way through. Drops from me, who puts it in the net. but the whistle had already gone from the referee. Michael Oliver, who's been busy so far, and there was a push by Ashley Barnes on Ayling, sent him flying, and that's why the free kick was given. Meslier with a really poor kick out. Burnley come with Barnes, edge of the box, it's into Chris Wood here, the former Leeds strike is in on goal, Meslier saves, it's still in there maybe, and Leeds get it clear, and then a really late challenge, and Michael Oliver. Barnes, as he went through Dallas after the ball had gone. Michael Oliver, the referee, trying to keep a lid on things here. Barnes booked by the referee, and he's still arguing his case. He was involved in the move initially that set Wood through. He was actually flagged offside in the end, and as Meslier blocked it, it came back out, and then Dallas cleared and Barnes went through him. So a booking for Barnes. He's into the book along with Josh Brownhill behind him. Burnley yet to have a shot of any description in this game. Brownhill, Westwood trying to help it on. He goes all the way through to Meslier. He rolls it out here into the path of Cooper. He jogs forward and plays a long one into the opposition half, but it goes all the way through to Pope. He pumps it back onto the head of Barnes. Wood picks up the scraps, taken away from him by Strike. Bamford, Harrison on the halfway line, looks for the give and go with Bamford, but Tarkowski steps across and is happy to watch the ball out of play for a Burnley throw. Well, both defences doing their jobs just about so far. Good atmosphere here, not too far away from Manchester here in Burnley, which is an extremely small town given the fact they have a Premier League football club. A stadium that only has a capacity of just over 22,000, and it's not quite full here today. Some would say they're punching above their weight at this level. Barnes battling away on the left hand side. Leeds have it back, 15 minutes to go until half time. Tarkowski takes a touch, plays a short square one to me. Trusty two together again at the back for Burnley, who named the starting 11 in the squad numbers 1 to 11 last week. Such is their consistency. Goodmanson trying to curl one here, easily wide it goes, but that's the first shot Burnley have had today after half an hour, and it was more than comfortably wide. Onto the chest of Wood on the edge of the penalty area. His square ball into Barnes. Wood receiving it back. Nice reverse ball into the penalty area, was blocked. Eventually out to Goodmanson on the right hand side, but the Icelander curling it wide of Illan Mesliers and Bamford. And curls one down the left channel here. Wood tries to help it infield to McNeil, but can't do so. Cooper then steps out with the ball for Leeds. And then an offside flag against Bamford. Me tries to play in field, but it's cut out. Ball back here to Westwood. Lowton's making a run the outside. In the end, it's out of play off the boot of Rodrigo for a Burnley throw. personnel they have available to them. And it comes now, Melia with an easy catch. Dallas inside his own half. Strike. Though plenty of home fans weren't happy with it. Leeds retain the ball on the halfway line with Dallas. They keep moving it from side to side here, Leeds, but not really going anywhere with it right now. Right towards the run of Rafinha. Over. Dallas was there to block and carry it clear for Leeds. Harrison now. Off the left, plays a long diagonal ball. Taylor gets onto it, but it drops from Bamford on the edge of the... Bamford played it into Rodrigo, and then Rafinha guided it past the far post. Whether it was a cross or whether it was a shot, I'm not sure. Either way, it's behind for a Burnley goal kick, and the chance is gone. Goodmanson forward. Drops from the edge of the box here, and Leeds trying to scramble it clear through Llorente. Tend to go until half time here at Turf Moor. 0-0 here at the moment. Leeds haven't actually drawn a game in the Premier League since 2004 away from home. 1-1 against Manchester United. But in 20 away games under Bielsa, they've been very much hit and miss. 10 wins, 10 defeats. Burnley in possession with Goodmanson down the right. On top of that, since they were promoted back in 2020, Leeds, goals in their games have been more frequent than any other side. Got 126 goals in their matches, 65 of them for the home side. Ayling brings it away here. Rafinha clips a high one to Rodrigo on the halfway line. He keeps the ball moving, and now Harrison away down the left. He's got so much space to move into. Harrison plays it high into the area, and it's headed backwards by me, and behind and out of play for a Leeds United corner. Lovely play by Leeds. They worked it quickly. They have players in space in key areas, and as Harrison tried to cross it in, Mee got his head through to turn it behind. Harrison swings it back towards the edge of the penalty area here, where it's chested down and set by Rafinha, who tries to strike, but it was well blocked there, and the former Rennes man didn't have a route to goal in the end. Ayling carrying it out from the back here for Bielsa's side. Bielsa sat crouched on the edge of his technical area. That's arguably the worst view of the game of anyone inside the stadium, given his vantage point and how low down he is, but it's the way he likes to watch his football. It's going to be a yellow card here for Calvin Phillips on the halfway line after a road challenge from him. Went in a bit late there on Barnes, a needless challenge, and after his nibble earlier on in the half, it's a yellow card for an accumulation of free kicks conceded, I think, more than that challenge itself. Harrison. Leeds working it nicely here as they build out from the back. Harrison on the left wing. Plays it past Goodmanson. Phillips in space. He's got Bamford ahead of him. Bamford takes it down, but his first touch was loose. And it goes through to Nick Pope. Again, Leeds going through the gears there. They were looking good. Nice build-up play. Burnley didn't have too many back after their own free kick. Leeds suddenly got 5 players in an attacking position. Phillips played it inside to Bamford, but the former Burnley man, with a poor first touch, gifting the ball back to the Burnley goalkeeper. Llorente nearly carrying the ball out of play, just about keeping it in, but he's gifted it back to Burnley here. Westwood, early ball into Barnes, who strikes on the turn. It's an interesting one there for Burnley, and Meslier has to push it behind his post. It will be a corner. Really awkward one for Barnes to take, actually, the way he tried to scoop that ball around all in one motion. It was nowhere near going in, but Meslier pushing it behind anyway, the young Frenchman. We'll see how Llorente deals with Chris Wood this time. Dwight McNeil will take the corner on the right hand side. His centre's a good one, and the header over the top by Wood. Trying to knock it in from point blank range there, the New Zealander. Spun off his man, got into that pocket of space at the near post, but couldn't keep his header down in the end. Four and a half minutes left of the first half here at Turf Moor. Burnley 0, Leeds 0, and it's still Tottenham 0, Watford 0 as well elsewhere. No score there yet, but there might be here because Bamford has it down the right hand side. Inside the box here, Bamford. Low ball into the near post. Pope with 2 firm hands on it to push it away. Now here comes Harrison on the left. The sun is out here at Turf Moor. Will it be shining on Leeds this afternoon? Harrison towards the near post and away by Tarkovsky. Leeds have just increased the tempo in their play in the last 5 minutes or so, and they're looking a lot better for it. Phillips will take here on the left side for Leeds. It's Cooper in the middle. It's going to come back out here, driven in by Harrison. It was blocked at the near post by McNeil. It's a Leeds throw on the right wing, and it's thrown into Ayling. Has been a goal in the other game. Son Heung-min has given Tottenham the lead against Watford. 1-0 there to Nuno's side. A brief stoppage here because Rafinha's gone down holding his toe. Seeing the chance again for Harrison from that corner. I think it was going wide, but McNeil just getting the ball away to make sure. Ayling into the penalty area, trying to carry it forward, but has the ball taken off him in the end. Barnes does really well to hold the ball into Westwood. McNeil now with a channel ball down the left, but put way too much on it, asking too much of his Burnley teammate. Does or will probably go into half time with a clean sheet to his name. Ayling, Rafinha inside to Phillips. Leeds looking better now. Harrison on the left, just inside the Burnley half. Clips a high ball forward. Bamford's onto it here inside the box and takes the effort on, but skies it over the top of Pope's bar. may well have been offside in the build-up there. There was a player coming back from an offside position, which did seem to confuse the Burnley defence. The flag stayed down, as it tends to do these days. Sean Dyche, little in the club. We're into the final 60 seconds now of normal time in the first half. Burnley 0, Leeds 0 here on Premier League Live. At the moment, these teams cannot be separated. But it's back here to Meslier. Leeds taking a chance, and Barnes was closing him down. He's hurried into a clearance, but it doesn't go very far. Burnley back on the ball with McNeil. To the left, and Taylor. And the challenge against him from Rafinha gives Burnley a corner right at the end of this first half. And the last chance to get bodies inside the penalty area and crank up the pressure on this Leeds side. It's their fourth corner of the game. Can they find a way to go right at the end of the first half as we move into added time? In towards the near post, it hits the post. Well, I'm not sure whether anyone got a touch on that in the end, but shown retrospectively here. We're playing 30 seconds of added time. He's back with Meslier, who will put the ball out of play. And the Leeds bench not at all happy with the challenge on Patrick Bamford in the lead up to that move. And a yellow card here has been shown to Ben Mee. He went in with an aggressive challenge, to say the least. Totally took out the striker. I'm just seeing the replay of the chance of Burnley at the other end. It was actually going to be an own goal. It came off the head of Patrick Bamford and hit the foot of the post before rebounding away to safety. I think Bamford will be okay. It's just an impact injury really on his ankle as Mee went through him. The fourth yellow card of this first half. Half time at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, where it's Spurs 1, Watford 0 at the break. Bamford back up to his feet. It was a nasty challenge on him by Mee. Very late. Saving grace for him in terms of a red card was that Burnley hand the ball back to Leeds as Mee plays it long to Meslier. But the half-time whistle, he's just about to go. And as Meslier drops the ball down to the ground and plays it long, the half-time whistle does go from referee Michael Oliver. Keenly contested, but no goals in the first half and no shots on target either for either side. It is goalless at the break. Patrick Bamford has had a couple of half chances for Burnley. Against Burnley rather. He nearly scored for Burnley at the other end when he hit the base of the post with a header going backwards from a Burnley corner. But other than that, it's been half opportunities at either end and ultimately no goals. The half-time score here at Turf Moor is Burnley 0, Leeds United 0. I'll hand you back to Alex Crook and Chris Perry, who are watching Tottenham against Watford.
It is all bad news. This show is about tackling all the news of the week, giving our take on why it's interesting and why we think you should know it.
Who should be sacked? Who should be bought? Who should be sold? Who was right? Who was wrong?
Strong opinion, big stories, no agenda.
Week in the Tackle is available on Mondays from wherever you get your podcasts. If it's a big story in soccer, we'll tackle it.
Got an unquenchable thirst for sport? Get up to speed with the day's biggest sports stories with the Talk Sport Hit. Crammed full of the latest team news, big match previews, and discussing the day's hottest topics.
An improvement week in, week out.
Plus, get all the latest results and full fan reaction to the biggest events in world sport.
It's a wonderful goal!
Satisfy your thirst for sports news with the Talk Sport Hit. Subscribe now on Acast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
The Women's Football Weekly Podcast.
With Faye Carruthers. All the action, excitement and drama from across the entire women's game.
Cleared off the line by Steph Horton.
Including the Women's Super League.
Ella Price is there to tap it in.
The UEFA Women's Champions League.
Lana Clellan striking from outside the penalty area.
And the Euro 2021 qualifiers.
On the edge of the area to Emsley. And Emsley's going to finish it off.
Plus, all the home nations' international friendlies.
Lucy Bronze with the strike from the edge of the penalty area.
World-beating big match conversation.
There's Jodie Taylor.
Subscribe now to the Women's Football Weekly Podcast on Acast, Apple Podcast, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back to Premier League Live. For those of you enjoying our coverage of Burnley against Leeds from Turf Moor, James Fielden will be back with the second half action in that one. 0-0 there. Spurs leading Watford by a fortuitous goal to nil. Here's the best of the action from both games in the first half. Chance for Harry Kane straight away, who's been bundled over by a Thibaut. Big shout certainly from the Tottenham fans for a penalty. That was clumsy from a Thibaut.
Certainly clumsy from a Thibaut, definitely. Fortunate to get away with it.
So whips it in towards the near post. It's still alive in there. Oh, prodded goalwards, I think, by Tanganga. And somehow Watford hook it away from inside the 6-yard box.
Melier with a really poor kick out. Burnley come with Barnes. Into the box, into Chris Wood here. The former Leeds striker's in on goal. Melier saves. It's still in there maybe. And Leeds get it clear. And then a really late challenge. And Michael Oliver is going to go for his pocket here. It's only going to be a yellow card. But temper's starting to flare. Goodmanson trying to curl one here. Easily wide it goes, but that's the first shot Burnley have had today after half an hour. Now a chance for Rafinha. Across goal it goes and out the other side. Great chance for Leeds United. And Rafinha with their clearest opening of the game so far.
Son has counted in. Well, I'm not sure he was deliberately going for goal, Son, but that is the outcome. And some way to mark his 200th Premier League appearance. Son, from the free kick that maybe shouldn't have been a free kick, was just trying to put it into the danger zone in the 6-yard box, and it sails beyond Backman and into the corner of goal. Yeah. Tottenham 1, Watford 0. That was the best of the action from Turf Moor and from the game that Chris Perry and I have been watching at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. It sounds like we've had a bit more entertainment, Chris, than James Fielden, but I mean, the more you see that goal, we've seen numerous replays now. Daniel Batman, the Watford goalkeeper, will be really disappointed.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he sees the ball all the way. It's not. The only question mark over it is if someone runs across the front of him, and the goalkeeper's waiting for the player to get a touch. There wasn't anyone that made that run across the front. They weren't able to get there. The ball was always beating the Tottenham forwards, and he just had to watch it and catch it, really. And he just didn't move his feet.
And it's dangerous, isn't it, now for Watford, because they set up really to contain Spurs and hit on the counter-attack, but having fallen 1-0 behind, they're going to have to maybe show a bit more ambition in the second half.
I think they will at some stage, certainly. I'm not sure it'll happen immediately after half-time, but certainly when they get to 70 minutes or so, you'd probably think they might have to throw a bit more caution to the wind, play a little bit further up the pitch, commit a few more bodies forward, and it might just leave space for Spurs to hit on the counter-attack.
It's clearly something that Son has been working on in terms of his finishing from outside the penalty area. Not that I'm necessarily sure he meant this one, but 3 of his last 4 goals for Tottenham have come from outside the 18-yard box. That's as many as in his previous 43 strikes for the club.
Yeah, I mean, he's obviously been working on it, cutting inside onto his right foot, looking to bend it into that far corner, making sure he hit a goal. It just gives players a chance to run across the front of keepers. It just puts keepers in two minds whether to come, whether to dive, or whether they have to wait.
And in terms of Tottenham, will Nuno still be asking? And from Turf Moor as well, then our attentions will be on Molineux. Wolves against Manchester United. Wolves who have a pretty good record against Manchester United since returning to the Premier League. Let's hear from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, who says he's ready for this game after drawing last weekend against Southampton.
Yes, of course. When you have the disappointment of losing 2 points last week, you won a game straight away. Start of the season has been a little bit different than last year. We had loads of games early on. Now we've had a week in between, so we're training well, and I think the boys are ready. Cristiano has been a legend of this club. He is a legend of this club. He's the greatest player of all time, if you ask me. I was fortunate enough to play with him. I coached him. Such a tremendous human being as well. Everyone who's played with him, I think, have a soft spot for him.
Was Ole Gunnar Solskjaer looking ahead to Manchester United's trip to Wolverhampton Wanderers. Also commenting there on Cristiano Ronaldo. What a day it was on Friday. Looked at one stone. Crank up the pressure, Chris, on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer to deliver silverware this season. The fact they've paid big money for Jadon Sancho. They've got a World Cup winner, a Champions League winner in Raphael Varane. And as Ole Gunnar Solskjaer himself said there, arguably the best player ever to have played the game in Cristiano Ronaldo.
I think it does. I think it means they have to win. With Messi going to Paris Saint-Germain, that he can be in a team that is going to be able to challenge for honours at European level and at Premier League level.
What does it mean for the future of Paul Pogba? Because there has been some speculation that it might hasten his departure to Paris Saint-Germain. It could work the opposite way, couldn't it? The signing of Ronaldo, the statement that makes, might just convince him to commit his future to Old Trafford.
I think so. Certainly in the short term, I think you'd want to stay and just see where Cristiano Ronaldo's introduction is going to take Manchester United, how he's going to fit into that. You can imagine, he started the season so well, Paul Pogba, with all the assists he's created already. Him being able to link up with Ronaldo and Bruno Fernandes, it's mouth-watering, isn't it? The prospect of those three linking up. I'd be surprised if he goes this season.
Well, no Ronaldo on show for Manchester United this afternoon, but a realistic chance, you would imagine, that both Raphael Varane and Jadon Sancho make their first start for the club. Kick-off at Molineux is in around about 90 minutes' time. We'll get the team news in half an hour or so after we brought you the second half of Tottenham against Watford, or for those of you listening to the stream of Burnley against Leeds, we'll have second half coverage from Turf Moor as well. You are listening to Premier League Live.
Got an unquenchable thirst for sport? Get up to speed with the day's biggest sports stories with the Talk Sport Hit. Crammed full of the latest team news, big match previews, and discussing the day's hottest topics.
An improvement week in, week out.
Plus, get all the latest results and full fan reaction to the biggest events in world sport.
It's a wonderful goal!
Satisfy your thirst for sports news with the Talk Sport Hit. Subscribe now on Acast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Talk Sport. 20 years old and still not able to make a cup of tea.
That's a great starting point, I think. Excuse me.
With bitter experience comes great responsibility.
Let's go to Cumbria and Fraser. Fraser, good morning. Hello. Fraser, get out of that league.
The nation's first and best commercial sports radio station.
Live, lubricated and legendary.
20 years of Talk Sport. Previously on White and Jordan.
This is rewarding mediocrity. No, it's not. It's the exact opposite.
Two towering giants of sports media.
He's got COVID-19. He's got Newcastle wanting to sue him. He's got broadcasters pulling money out of deals left, right and centre. You wouldn't want to fly with this guy, would you?
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Double trouble, daily drama and searing debate.
Continues weekday mornings from 10 on Talk Sport.
20 years of Talk Sport.
Gentlemen, good evening.
There's no such thing as an overnight success.
Accrington Stanley 4, Titanium Plasmatronic Death Droids from the Future, 0.
Excess.
I wasn't getting up, I was just getting in.
Excitement.
Excuse me,
and extremely strong opinions.
I spend my life covering the big game at the big level.
On DAB, medium wave, and on your smart speaker. 20 years of Talk Sport. Previously on White and Jordan.
If you haven't bought, owned, managed, sold a player, managed a football club, sat in a boardroom, sat in a dressing room, what exactly do you know?
100% engagement.
The Football League is a league which is a busted flush. You're obsessed with that subject, you do know that.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. High Octane Radio. Continues weekday mornings from 10 on Talk Sport.
The Women's Football Weekly Podcast.
With Faye Carruthers. All the action, excitement and drama from across the entire women's game.
Cleared up the line by Steph Horton.
Including the Women's Super League.
Ella White is there to tap it in.
The UEFA Women's Champions League.
Lana Clellan striking from outside the penalty area.
and the Euro 2021 qualifiers.
On the edge of the area to Ensley, and Ensley's going to finish it off.
Plus, all the home nations' international friendlies.
Lucy Bronze with the strike from the edge of the penalty area.
World-beating big match conversation.
There's Jodie Taylor.
Subscribe now to the Women's Football Weekly podcast on Acast, Apple Podcast, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
You are listening to TalkSport's coverage of Tottenham Hotspur against Watford from the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. I'm your host, Alex Crook. Alongside me is the former Tottenham defender, Chris Perry. This is Premier League Live, where Tottenham lead Watford by a fortuitous Son goal to nil. The Spurs players, the first to re-emerge from the dressing room. Nuno Espirito Santo sat pensive in the dugout as his players go through a pre-second half warm-up. What will Nuno have been saying to his troops, Chris Perry, during the interval?
I think he'll have been just reiterating the fact that, like, the second half of that first half was good in terms of dominating the ball and creating lots and lots of territory, but they need to be better when they get into the final third. They need a bit more detail on their passes. Certainly the crossing needs to be of better quality. Emmanuel Dennis and Ismail Assar on the counter-attack.
As it stands, Tottenham top of the Premier League table with a maximum 9 points from their first 3 matches.
Welcome back to Turf Moor and our second half coverage here of Burnley against Leeds United. I'm your host, James Field, and you are listening to Premier League Live. 0-0 at half-time between these two. Hopefully, some goals are set to come in the second half. We shall see. Burnley are back out and are ready. Sean Dyche following behind them. A separate section of the ground. Don't envisage any changes taking place, but we shall see. Leeds are now back out, just going through a few shuttle runs before this second half gets started. So once again, Burnley with Pope in goal, Lowton, Tarkowski, Mee and Taylor across the back, Brownhill and Westwood in central midfield, Goodmanson off the right, McNeil off the left, and Wood and Barnes the front two. Meslier in goal for Leeds. Back three of Llorente, Cooper and Struijk. Ayling right wing back, Dallas left wing back, Rodrigo and Phillips in the middle, Rafinha and Harrison either side of Patrick Bamford, who Marcelo Bielsa making his way back into his technical area from the opposite corner of the ground. And Burnley are going to get us restarted here. They're attacking the Jimmy McElroy stand in this second half. For those of you that know Turf Moor, if you watched the game on TV here before, Burnley attacking from right to left. And straight away, a long ball played forward onto the head of Chris Woods. Barnes trying to pick up the seconds, but nothing there for him. Ball forward here now to Bart. Wood can't quite control on the edge of the penalty area. Phillips wrestling it back here for Leeds. Attacking the end where their travelling fans are. Harrison. Forward now to Bamford, he's through. Patrick Bamford angles tight. And Tarkowski blocked against him, but in the end it's a offside flag which comes late. And the goal wouldn't have counted anyway. And again a bit of pushing and shoving as Bamford fails to return the ball. Tried to bend his run, but in the end was a good half yard offside. So no changes entirely. Matej Vydra and Bobby Thomas. Matej Vydra back from injury today. We might see him as the second half continues. Bit of a hold up here as Calvin Phillips sorts his laces out. Eventually it will be a Free kick taken here by Leeds. And a long crossfield ball to the right where it's cushioned by all the way through to Meslier. High ball by Llorente into the... Barnes inside his own half, tries to measure a ball forward here onto the chest of Wood. He chests it down towards Gudmundsson, but not close enough to him in the end. Wood 29 now, only got 12 last season, 14 the year before, 10 and 10 before that for Burnley after moving from Leeds, where he hit 27 goals in the Championship in 2016-17. His best ever season in front of goal. Ball has been put out of play here, hence the sarcastic cheers. It remains Burnley 0, Leeds 0 with 3.5 minutes gone now in this second half. Only one of the last 22 league meetings between these two sides has finished level. That a 1-1 draw back in August 2015 when Marco Antonucci and Sam Vokes scored late on, both in the final 7 minutes. Leeds actually doing the double over Burnley last year. Talked about the 4-0 win here back in May, but at the end of December last year, a penalty from Patrick Bamford 5 minutes into the game sealed the win for Leeds at Ellen Road. Harrison down the left, forward now into Bamford, who takes a touch, works his way towards the edge of the penalty area, but then the layoff was really poor. Struijk then putting one out of play. It was a missed kick from him. And Burnley have a throw in right on the halfway line down in front of us here, opposite the main stand. Three matches into the league season. National teams in that they'll be able to go no issues. But when coming back, they would have to self-isolate for 10 days, which will put them out of action for a couple of games for their clubs. Alice running into the empty space, but in the end, Matt Lowton getting a foot to the ball to clear. Phillips brings it back for Leeds. Right-hand side is Ayling. He tries to cross, it's blocked. Eventually away, but Leeds have it back again. Burnley aggressive, but Leeds looking the more confident of the two sides on the ball here, as you would probably expect. Certainly looking as though at the moment they can create a little bit more than their hosts. Burnley with just one goal now in 2.5 games played. Their next home game here is against Arsenal, who've had a terrible start to the season, beaten 5-0 yesterday at Manchester City. Leeds come back after the international break with a home game against Liverpool. That should be some atmosphere for them. Here's McNeil for Burnley. Shoots from range, but drags it well wide of Ilham Mellier's goal. It was worth an effort, but didn't really catch it well there, the England Youth International. Aaron Lennon getting warm for Burnley. Maybe we'll see him soon in this second half. He's 34 now, the winger, playing with Kayserispor last season. Did play nearly an hour for Burnley in the League Cup in midweek. A yellow card shown here by Michael Oliver to Rodrigo after a challenge from behind from him on Charlie Taylor. Watford wanting a penalty in the other game going on at the moment. White Hart Lane. the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium as it is now. Tottenham 1 up there, thanks to a goal from Son towards the end of the first half. Sean Dyche and his assistant Ian Woan in conversation. Ball guided forward here towards Bamford, but Tarkowski turns it back to Pope. In no uncertain terms, absolutely wellies it forward. Ayling picking up the loose ball for Leeds. Back in possession. Meslier pressured by McNeil. Team news coming up shortly from the game at Molineux between Wolves and Manchester United. At the 4:30 kickoff later. Kevin Hatchard will be your commentator for that one. He'll be alongside former Wolves striker David Connolly. Leeds carrying it forward here. Ayling on the right. His ball down the touchline is into the path here of Rafinha, who'd done really well, but halted there by Taylor, and then Mee eventually bumps him off the ball. Struijk leads inside their own half here. We played 9.5 minutes of the second half. And neither side has had a shot on target in the game yet. The match that is crying out for some real entertainment. Burnley have had their moments, but defensively have managed to stifle Leeds. Both sides looking for their first wins of the Premier League season. McNeil in field. Brownhill slipped forward now, and it was very nearly into the path there of Chris Wood, but deflected behind, and Burnley have themselves a corner. Nicely worked. Leeds were pushing and pulling inside the box. Meslier has stranded himself here, didn't get to the ball. Burnley nearly with a free header at goal. In the end, a free kick and a foul has been given by the referee for something that happened inside the penalty area there. And Leeds play it out short, and they've worked it to the halfway line already with Bamford, who then goes back to Llorente. Dallas over on the left, he has to go back one. Whistles from the fans as the game is halted temporarily. Twisted down by Barnes. It breaks for Goodmanson wide on the right hand side. It's blocked out of play, and the 30-year-old will travel no further. And it looks like Aaron Lennon is being ready to come on here. He's receiving some instructions from one of the Burnley backroom staff. We might see him very soon. Lowton, though, on the right hand side. Brownhill, high ball into the box. It's over the head of Wood. He's done well to win the ball back for his side. Good determination there. Taylor skips in field. He's done well, but in the end loses the ball. McNeil, his early cross on the left was behind everyone, and Phillips will bring it away for Leeds, but he's given it away. Westwood. Nearly played an hour here now. 0-0 the score. Goodmanson. Brownhill. Tarkowski. Mee on the halfway line. McNeil driving in field. From range here, Josh Brownhill. Comfortably wide again, but Burnley turning the screw slightly and trying to put this Leeds side under some pressure at last. Space in front of the back three. That's where Burnley had the opportunity. He was struck with power from Josh Brownhill as he looked for his second Burnley goal, but in the end couldn't deliver, and it's comfortably wide. On to Harrison here on the left for Leeds. Tarkowski puts it into the stand, which looks like it's had a bit of a summer makeover here at Turf Moor. One of the older, more traditional grounds in the Premier League. Two sides redeveloped in the 90s, but the other two still have wooden seats until a couple of years ago. Pope has the ball here in his arms. Throws it away to me on the left-hand side. Barnes, Wood, Burnley linking play nicely here. McNeil, edge of the penalty area. Still Dwight McNeil, he shoots, and wide it goes again. A deflection this time off the outstretched leg of Pascal Struijk. And it's Burnley who are having the spell in the game at the moment. McNeil found himself in a central position. His effort towards goal may have been going wide again, but Struijk trying to block it off from any potential effort on Illan Mellier's goal. It's behind for a corner. .30 minutes to go. McNeil puts it in there to Tarkowski. He's hit the bar. Burnley come close again. Back across. Still a chance here for Brownhill. He strikes. Claims of hands against Phillips. Wide to McNeil. His cross Tarkowski. Headed away by Cooper. Now it drops. It's gone in. Meslier. What a nightmare for him. And Chris Wood nets against it coming. And Chris Wood is up and running for the season. And maybe finally Burnley are going to end this horrendous home run. Whipped in. The header against the bar initially from Tarkowski, then driven back across by me. Leeds couldn't clear. Hit by Brownhill. Back wide to McNeil. His ball in. And then eventually it did drop. And it was deflected in by Chris Wood. And Meslier with a goal he won't want to see too many more times. It was tricky for him as it was touched right in front of him in the end. And Chris Wood with the slightest of nicks. Meslier helpless. Burnley 1, Leeds 0. And a change for Burnley in the aftermath of that goal as Gudmundsson is replaced here by Aaron Lennon. A second home debut for him. Leeds looking to respond straight away. Talking to one or two people coming into this game about what it would mean for Leeds if they were to lose this one, and people saying, well, you know, maybe we should lower expectations for them this season, but it is just 3 matches in. The transfer window isn't done yet. There is a long way to go in this Premier League season. Harrison on the left here for Leeds. He cuts it back towards the run of Rodrigo, but Burnley are able to clear. Leeds about to make a change themselves. Llorente. Ayling on the right hand side, rolls it a few yards further forward here to Rafinha. The Brazilian wins a throw. It's going to be an introduction here of Jamie Shackleton for Leeds. Ayling, his cross from the right is deflected, and in the end Mee has to concede the corner here. 64 minutes played. Burnley 1, Leeds 0. Wood with the opener a few minutes ago. As the corner comes in, claims of handball there against Cooper. It's gone wide anyway, it wouldn't have counted. Out of play. And the referee blowing for free kick for handball in the end against Liam Cooper, the captain who was forward. And Llorente coming off here for Shackleton to come on. So Shackleton comes on for his second appearance of the season. Only 21, Jamie Shackleton. Had around a dozen appearances in the league last season. After being a regular in their promotion campaign, still clearly has a big part to play for Marcelo Bielsa. He's approaching 150 games in charge of Leeds now. Ailing. Leeds need to find an equaliser, and soon, if they're going to turn this one around. Still a quarter of the game left to run. It's by no means over for them. Seeing the goal again for Burnley. So Leeds just couldn't clear their lines. Everyone was alert. And perhaps most of all Chris Wood, who just stood in front of the goalkeeper and ailing the defender who was behind him. He was clearly onside. And the slightest of touches to take it past Meslier to give Burnley the lead. And the young French goalkeeper looking dejected and disappointed after conceding. Lennon chasing one down the right hand side, but too much on it. It's a goal kick here to Leeds. Ball forward, looking for the run of Rodrigo. Phillips. Exactly halfway through the second half. Burnley 1, Leeds 0 here on Premier League Live. Every Premier League game all season long. Cooper. Now to the right hand side now is Shackleton for Leeds. Rafinha, big money signing at the start of last season, looking for the return run of Shackleton, but the two not quite on the same wavelength. And comfortably out for a goal kick to Burnley, who will do their best to try and run the clock down now, you would imagine. They've actually only scored 16 goals here now, Burnley, including this one today, since the start of last season, in 21 matches. The lowest scoring team in home games since the start of last season. Burnley in possession. Taylor down the left hand side, he has it. Out of play though. Leeds haven't really responded in the manner I'm sure their fans and head coach Marcelo Bielsa would have liked. They're still really yet to test Nick Pope. Down the line here for Harrison on the left for Leeds. He tries an early cross. It's blocked by Aaron Lennon, who was back there. It's a throw in for Leeds. Harrison back to Dallas. It's away by McNeil for Burnley. Ailing. Leeds being encouraged forward here by their 3,000 travelling fans. Rodrigo. Harrison on the left. Rodrigo crossing from deep. He's going to drop here for Bamford, who takes one touch of control, and he'll shoot as well. Still a chance in there for Bamford. He couldn't get the ball under control in the end. And away it goes. The chance has gone. Team news shortly from Molineux, where Wolves are taking on Manchester United in the day's late game. Start for Manchester United. That is the headline team news. Wolves unchanged from their previous game. Leeds pressurising on the left-hand side again. To the box it goes. Burnley keep on clearing, but the ball keeps on coming back. Ailing. Change things again here. Leeds, they're going to make another switch, and they're going to throw on Tyler Roberts this time. And Roberts here is going to replace Rodrigo on the looks of things. He makes way. Free kick here to Burnley in the end after a Leeds foul. Rodrigo was on a yellow card as well. So perhaps a crisis averted with that sub. One they wanted to make anyway, with the attacking midfielder coming on. He's come on in every game this season now. Burnley in possession. Thought they were blocked off on halfway, but no free kick given by the referee. It's going to fall to Harrison on the left in just a second. Here's Dallas down the left hand side. His low ball in towards the near post comes through to Bamford. Oh, and Mead missed it, but Bamford couldn't take advantage. Leeds have it back again. Tough challenge, but a fair one. Shackleton down the right. Ailing has gone past him. Ailing into the box, but pushing Charlie Taylor out of the way in the process. Play continues. Burnley clear. It's out of play on the halfway line. Is it for a Leeds throw? No, the ball stayed in play. Phillips. Burnley pinned back here. De Gea, Maguire, Pogba, Greenwood, Fred, Bruno Fernandes, Varane, to the one that played last time out for them. Wolves 11 in just a second. And again another half chance for Bamford. Just moments ago, that Wolves team: Jose Sarr, Marçal, Ruben Neves, Raul Jimenez, Francisco Trincao, Conor Cody the captain, Nelson Semedo, Max Kilman, Roman Saiz, João Moutinho and Adama Traore. Tarkowski. Phillips picks up the loose ball on the edge of the box, then he goes down. He thought he was fouled. Referee says play on, and now Barnes with the ball in between his legs was down the Phillips. He thought he was blocked off by Chris Wood, which I guess in part he really was when you look at the replay. Burnley about to make another change. It's not going to take place just yet though. They'll take this free kick first, which is midway inside their own half. High towards Wood, his flick on but not close enough to Barnes. Bamford. Ailing. Shackleton on the right hand side, wearing 46 on his back. Lennon fouled in the end. It's a free kick against Stuart Dallas. The angle, they may be able to deliver a decent ball into the box. Here comes the change now. It's going to be a return for Burnley for Matej Vydra. The Czech forward is going to come on here for his first appearance since the opening day. So change there for the home side. Both sides have made two switches now. Burnley leading through Chris Wood's goal from close range on the hour mark. And we have got just 11 and a bit minutes to go. A throw from Taylor, which was to nobody in the end, as the opposite direction. Pope with a lump forward from the back here for Burnley. Headed on by Wood. Vydra back catch out of his own penalty area there. High from halfway from Tarkowski. A man who was always linked away from Burnley with a move to a higher placed club, but it doesn't look as though he's going to get his move in this transfer window. It's all gone quiet on that front. Dwight McNeil trying to make inroads down the left hand side. He's seen his attempted cross blocked behind and out of play for a Burnley corner. Taylor. McNeil. Played in field and he's found his way through to Matej Vydra. But he's offside. We've had to free kick given for a handball against the Czech in the end. 8 minutes left. Leeds running out of time. Running out of opportunities. They still haven't had a shot on target in the game. Still 1-0 to Spurs against Watford in North London. Phillips with a raking long ball to the right hand side, taken on the chest by Rafinha, keeps it in play, then a hard challenge on the edge of the box. Dallas picks it up on the corner of the penalty area now. Roberts, the substitute, lifts the cross in there, but past and over Bamford and out of play for a Burnley throw on the other side. And they will take all the time they can in taking this. Burnley almost there, on the verge of the first win here in a long time, and their first Premier League win of the season after 2 wins came away at Fulham and at Wolves, as well as Everton and Crystal Palace. Their last home win here on the 27th of January. Here come Leeds though down the right. And into the box, and it's driven in. Mee blocks, comes back up to Shackleton. It's in. It's Patrick Bamford. He finally gets his chance, and he delivers 5 minutes from time. A former Leeds striker scoring against Leeds. It's the former Burnley man netting against the Clarets. We are level here with 5 minutes to go and 1-1. It looked like Burnley was shutting this game down, but Leeds down the right hand side with Rafinha causing problems. He put Taylor on his backside. His attempted cross was blocked, fired back in by Shackleton, and then Mee, already on the ground, deflected it into the path of Bamford, who had the simple task of guiding it into an empty net. It is Burnley 1, Leeds 1 here at Turf Moor. And there is life in this game yet. Leeds' first effort on target results in a goal. And maybe that elusive home win is still a few days off yet. And frustration for those home fans. Looked like they were going to go home with smiles on their faces. They still might. Here's Wood again. He gets a shot in, which is smothered by Meslier. And he gets rid of the ball quickly and gives it to Ayling, who gives it to Shackleton down the right-hand side. He helps it on to Rafinha, who was key in that goal. He's coming again, Rafinha. Shackleton in the box. He turns, he strikes. Easy take for Pope. We all love Leeds, chant the away fans here. Looks like it might be a second point of the season for them, but as things stand, both teams are going to remain winless. Two and a half minutes left of the 90. And if either side is going to go on and win this now, you'd have to say it is likely to be Leeds. Free kick here to Burnley on the edge of their own penalty area. Bit of trouble ensuing actually between the two sets of fans in the away section of the ground. Hopefully the police can sort that out. A few verbals being exchanged between a couple of individuals. Here come Leeds down the left now with Harrison. He's got Dallas on the outside. Dallas trying to find a way through. It's out of play in the end. It's a throw in to Burnley. For a minute to go of normal time. Meslier inside his own penalty area here, hurried into a clearance. Gets it up to halfway where it's nodded on towards Bamford, but Burnley send it back. And a late challenge going in from Lennon. He will be the latest recipient of a yellow card from Michael Oliver, who's been busy in that department today. The seventh yellow card he has dished out. Lennon just a fraction too late in getting there. Leeds in possession. Can they come up with something magical late on? Imagine we're set for 3 minutes of added time here. We're about to find out exactly how long this is going to be. Dallas into Harrison. Trying to find a way through. Burnley win it back but give it away. 3 minutes of added time. Ayling tries to lift it in there. It's blocked. It'll come through to Shackleton. His ball in. Body's flying in there. It evaded Roberts. Harrison couldn't get there either. Dallas on the left side. Harrison. Dallas again. He'll go for goal, but it's easily blocked at source. Burnley get it away, but again it's coming back. Down into the channel looking for Bamford, and Tarkowski brings it away. Poor clearance from him though. It's a Leeds throw on the left hand side in line with the edge of the penalty area. We've played 45 seconds of time added on. Harrison tries to cross. It's a Leeds corner right in front of the away end. That away end ready to erupt here if Leeds can go on and grab a late winner. We'll see if they can now. In comes the corner, easily headed away by Vydra. Headed back on again, wide by Ayling. Rafinha can't get there quick enough, but it is out for a Leeds throw. And it comes now. Oh, it just evaded Struijk, who stayed forward. Phillips puts it in, and it's headed behind again. Another Leeds corner. pressure increasing here on the Burnley goal. Time almost up. 3rd minute of added time. In it comes, headed on, but out it goes. And the chance is gone. I think it was Liam Cooper who got his head to the ball. But no luck this time for the Leeds captain. Wide it goes, and with just 40 seconds left, it looks as though it is going to be a point apiece. And the Burnley fans looking pretty glum. At least they can bring Maxwell Cornet into their side for their next game to give them a bit more attacking impetus and some quality in wide areas. But today at least, it looks as though it is going to have to be 1 point only, though it would be their first point of the season. And with 5 seconds to go, the referee just about ready to draw a close, and there is the full-time whistle. It finishes 1-1 at Turf Moor. Burnley denied late on. A battle and a tale of the ex-strikers here, with Chris Wood opening the scoring for Burnley against his former side with just over an hour gone from close range, and Bamford doing likewise against his former team 4 minutes from the end. A largely forgettable game for the most part. We had just 5 shots on target in the end, Leeds dominating possession without the quality in the final third. Both sides still winless this Premier League season. A first point for Burnley. Leeds with the first point on the road. It finishes here at Turf Moor. Burnley 1, Leeds United 1. You are listening to Premier League Live. I'll now hand you back to Alex Crook and Chris Perry, who've just watched Tottenham beat Watford.
Maybe they could just surprise us on the day that Harry Kane made his first Premier League start of the season. It was Sean on his 200th appearance in the competition who took centre stage and claims the win. Tottenham 1, Watford 0. You are listening to Premier League Live. Chance for Harry Kane straight away, who's been bundled over by a Atiba. Big shout certainly from the Tottenham fans for a penalty. That was clumsy from Atiba.
Certainly clumsy from Atiba, definitely. Fortunate to get away with it.
Son has counted in. Well, I'm not sure he was deliberately going for goal, Son, but that is the outcome. And some way to mark his 200th Premier League appearance. Son, from the free kick that maybe shouldn't have been a free kick, was just trying to put it into the danger zone in the 6-yard box, and it sails beyond backman and into the corner of goal. Yeah. Tottenham 1, Watford 0.
30 minutes to go. McNeil puts it in there to Tarkowski. He's hit the bar. Headed away by Cooper. Now it drops. It's gone in. Meslier. What a nightmare for him. And Chris Wood nets against his former side. The first shot on target in the game. And it was Butterfingers, Illan Meslier, who shoveled it into his own net. Burnley 1, Leeds 0. Into the box, and it's driven in. Mead blocks, comes back up to Shackleton. It's in. It's Patrick Bamford, a former Leeds striker, scoring against Leeds, netting against the Clarets. We are level here with 5 minutes to go, and 1-1.
So late drama at Turf Moor. Patrick Bamford rescuing a point for Leeds after Chris Wood had capitalised on a goalkeeping error to put Burnley in front. Both of those sides continue to wait for their first win of the season. Different story for Tottenham. 15 attempts for them, 8 on target. It was the free kick from Son at the end of the first half that settled this game in their favour. 1-0 victors against a Watford side who, we're told, Chris, managed 2 shots on target, but I can't really recall them.
No, I can't either. No, they were poor throughout, really, Watford, in terms of no attacking threat. Defended well for the majority of the game. I mean, they limited Spurs' chances, really. Spurs didn't have too many really good goal-scoring chances. But, you know, the one goal, the mistake from, I think, Daniel Backman from Son's free kick has cost Watford a point here and has given Spurs the perfect start to the season.
And I guess Nuno will probably be in reflective mood. He knows it wasn't a vintage Tottenham performance, but as you say, 3 wins from 3, and they can only improve.
Exactly. They're only going to get better. You know, they're still getting used to Nuno's ideas, exactly what he wants, how he wants to play. Harry Kane's just coming back into the side. You know, they've got Brian Hill to to introduce into the side still. So it's a real positive for Nuno that they managed to pick up 9 points from 9 at the start of the season.
And we'll end with the stat that I'm sure will only add to Tottenham fans' glee. For the first time in top flight history, Tottenham will end the day top at the same time as Arsenal, their great rivals, end it bottom of the pile. So
they'll love that.
Certainly plenty of stories in North London, but different emotions amongst the two sets of fans. Chris, thanks for your company this afternoon. We're off to Molineux next. Wolves against Manchester United, Ronaldo's Manchester United. You're listening to Premier League Live.
It's the ultimate fusion of football and celebrity.
The Best 11 podcast from Talk Sport.
Johnny Owen and Mark Webster interview the biggest names in popular culture,
looking back at the role the beautiful game has played in their lives.
Paul Weller. Could I just start off apologising for last weekend?
Actor Stephen Graham. Good morning, Stevie.
Morning. Sharing their earliest football memories,
how they celebrated their team's successes,
culminating in their all-time best 11.
Noel Gallagher.
Let's deal with the hangover and let's have it again after that.
The Best 11 podcast. Subscribe now on Acast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
I'm Tom Rennie. Join me for a weekly podcast, Week in the Tackle, available wherever you get your podcasts. I'm going to be joined by Brian Dunseth, MLS legend, to tackle the biggest stories from the week in soccer.
And the great thing about working with Tom and making Week in the Tackle is we're only going to be covering things we think are worth tackling.
This show is all about passion. What's going to get us riled up? What's going to get you riled up to give us all something to chew on?
We're not here to sit on the fence and tell you the stories of the day. That's what your phone's for. You'll be scrolling through Twitter while listening anyways.
Exactly. I'm scrolling through Twitter right now. I'll save you the trouble. It is all bad news. This show is about tackling all the news of the week, giving our take on why it's interesting and why we think you should know.
Who should be sacked? Who should be bought? Who should be sold? Who was right? Who was wrong?
Strong opinion, big stories, no agenda.
Week in the Tackle is available on Mondays from wherever you get your podcasts. If it's a big story in soccer, we'll tackle it.
Got an unquenchable thirst for sport? Get up to speed with the day's biggest sports stories with the Talk Sport Hit. Crammed full of the latest team news, big match previews, and discussing the day's hottest topics.
An improvement week in, week out.
Plus, get all the latest results and full fan reaction to the biggest events in world sport.
It's a wonderful goal!
Satisfy your thirst for sports news with the Talk Sport Hit. Subscribe now on Acast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
The Women's Football Weekly Podcast.
With Faye Carruthers. All the action, excitement and drama from across the entire women's game.
Cleared off the line by Steph Horton.
Including the Women's Super League.
Ellen White is there to tap it in.
The UEFA Women's Champions League.
Lana Cleland striking from outside the penalty area.
And the Euro 2021 qualifiers.
On the edge of the area to Emsley. And Emsley's going to finish it off.
Plus, all the home nations' international friendlies.
Lucy Bronze with the strike from the edge of the penalty area.
World-beating big match conversation.
There's Jodie Taylor.
Subscribe now to the Women's Football Weekly Podcast on Acast, Apple Podcast, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Premier League Live with Talk Sport. All the big goals and big moments from the world's biggest football league.
Shadow onto his left foot. You know where it's going. Into the far corner. Aubameyang's header. He's got a hat-trick.
Into Gundogan in the area. And Gundogan scores.
It's the most intense league in world football. And we've got all the action right here.
Pulls it back. Rashford scores. Second goal for Manchester United. Lingard in the box. And it's in. It's a dream debut.
We found Harry Kane. And this time, Harry Kane makes no mistake.
Premier League Live with Talk Sport.
You're listening to TalkSport's coverage of Wolverhampton Wanderers against Manchester United from Molineux. I'm your host, Kevin Hatchard. Alongside me, the former Wolves striker, David Connolly. This is Premier League Live. Well, this most extraordinary of transfer windows featured another momentous move this week. Cristiano Ronaldo is returning to Manchester, and he'll once again don the red of United rather than the blue of City. The return of the prodigal son to Old Trafford means that United boss Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has another world-class talent at his disposal, but it also reinforces the idea that the Norwegian manager must deliver a title push this season. Well, new Wolves boss Bruno Lage has pressure of a different kind as he looks to reshape the team and indeed the club after the Nuno era came to a close at the end of last season. Wolves have suffered 1-0 defeats against Leicester and Tottenham despite having 42 goal attempts so far. Well, Wolves won 4-0 against Nottingham Forest in the League Cup in midweek, but they revert to the same starting 11 that they used against Spurs last weekend. So it's Jose Sarr in goal, Roman Saiz, Connor Cody and Max Kilman at the back three, Marçal and Nelson Semedo, the wing-backs, João Moutinho and Ruben Neves, the Portuguese duo at the heart of midfield, and a front three of Adama Traore, Francisco Trincao and Raúl Jiménez. As for United, they hand to debut to four-time Champions League winner Rafael Varane in central defence, and there's a full debut for Jadon Sancho. Cristiano Ronaldo is not available for today's game, so let's give you their side, and it is David De Gea in goal, Luke Shaw, Harry Maguire, Rafael Varane and Aaron Wan-Bissaka. The back four, you've got Fred and Paul Pogba at the heart of midfield, and a front four, a very exciting front four of Jadon Sancho, Bruno Fernandes, Daniel James and Mason Greenwood. Delighted to say that I am joined by David Connolly for this one. And David, let's start with that Manchester United side, because they have so much talent. You've got World Cup winners in Paul Pogba and Rafael Varane. You've got Luke Shaw, who's had ever such a good year with England and Manchester United. You've got Bruno Fernandes, got a hat-trick on the opening match day of the season. Jadon Sancho sparkling potentially. And you've got Mason Greenwood, who scored in both league games so far.
Yeah, good afternoon, Kevin. I mean, it is exciting, and you mentioned about, obviously, and I think they've been superb signings. Certainly Jadon Sancho, and you'll know him far better than me, Kevin, but I mean, I think that is arguably the best signing of the summer. I think he's going to bring so much to this United side. And you know what? They weren't that far away last season. You know, if you go back to last season, they got off to an awful start. I had a really good look at this. They lost at home to Palace and Spurs and Arsenal. They lost 3 times in the first 6. And after that, they lost 2 in the final 4, something like that. So you take those games out of their season, they would be right on the tails of Man City. So you're right to say that they are going to go for a title push. They will be up there competing for the title, and I guess judging by everyone else's signings, they've had to have made the signings that they have just to keep up. But they weren't far away last season either.
Are we at the point now, though, David, where Ole Gunnar Solskjaer hasn't won a major trophy? They lost the Europa League final last season against Villarreal. They've had 4 semi-finals and not managed to get through in those. Are we at the point where he really does have to win a major trophy? Otherwise, the pressure's really on.
I don't know. I mean, obviously, look, he's the manager of Manchester United, so he'll always be under pressure to win a trophy. But as I said, I think they are closing that gap. He's had 100 games in charge now. I think is this his 100th, something like that.
100th in the Premier League today, yeah.
And obviously you've got players returning from the Euros who've started really well. Paul Pogba, obviously, who's looked brilliant. Fernandes, he's got his existing squad that he's already added to. So look, he's the manager of Man United. I think their disappointment will be their performance. I think against Villarreal, I don't think was particularly great. Certainly for a United side in that final, which would have been disappointing for them. But they're going to be up there competing, make no mistake.
On the Wolves side of things, lots of goal attempts, lots of endeavour in attack, but no goals and no points so far.
Yeah, I think this is always going to be a very, very tough job for Bruno Lage. I mean, obviously replacing Nuno is always going to be a tough act to follow. And if you look at the players that have gone out the door, I don't think necessarily those players have been replaced. They might have been in terms of the money spent, but I don't think they've had the same output. Whether it's Matt Doherty, gone out the door, Diego Jota gone out the door. I don't know. I just think they are still lacking a little bit. And for Bruno, he's got a tough job on his hands. He hasn't changed anything, has he? I mean, he's kept the same sort of shape, same formation. Yeah. It's not like someone goes in to take over Sheffield United under Chris Wilder and rips up the 3-5-2. You know, it's more or less continuing the same. He's obviously hoping that Raul Jimenez starts firing for him.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned Jimenez. On a striker's point of view, David, obviously he was out a long time with that skull injury. He's come back. It's remarkable how quickly he's come back in some ways. How badly does he need a goal just to get him going? Yeah, I mean, he's one of those players that when you look at his best form, when Jota was in the team, Traore, you know, when they had Doherty, I mean, that so many goals came from those players' assists, you know, and he needs someone to start firing for him, you know. So it's a challenge, I think, to get the best out of him, because I think he was best with the likes of Jota beside him. But he's a top centre forward. He just might need something just to go in, you know, a little, who knows, could be a little scruffy goal just to get him going again. Exciting game coming up, and you're listening to Premier League Live.
It's the ultimate fusion of football and celebrity.
The Best 11 podcast from Talk Sport.
Johnny Owen and Mark Webster interview the biggest names in popular culture,
looking back at the role the beautiful game has played in their lives.
Paul Weller, could I just start off apologising for last weekend?
Actor Stephen Graham. Good morning, Stevie.
Morning. Sharing their earliest football memories,
how they celebrated their team's successes,
culminating in their all-time best 11.
Noel Gallagher. Let's deal with the hangover and let's have it again after that.
The Best 11 podcast. Subscribe now on Acast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
I'm Tom Rennie. Join me for a weekly podcast, Week in the Tackle, available wherever you get your podcasts. I'm going to be joined by Brian Dunseth, MLS legend, to tackle the biggest stories from the week in soccer.
And the great thing about working with Tom and making Week in the Tackle is we're only going to be covering things we think are worth tackling.
This show is all about passion. What's going to get us riled up? What's going to get you riled up to give us all something to chew on?
We're not here to sit on the fence and tell you the stories of the day. That's what your phone's for. You'll be scrolling through Twitter while listening anyways.
Exactly. I'm scrolling through Twitter right now. I'll save you the trouble. It is all bad news. This show is about tackling all the news of the week, giving our take on why it's interesting and why we think you should know it.
Who should be sacked? Who should be bought? Who should be sold? Who was right? Who was wrong?
Strong opinion, big stories, no agenda.
Week in the Tackle is available on Mondays from wherever you get your podcasts. If it's a big story in soccer, we'll tackle it.
Got an unquenchable thirst for sports? Get up to speed with the day's biggest sports stories with the Talk Sport hit. Crammed full of the latest team news, big match previews, and discussing the day's hottest topics.
An improvement week in, week out.
Plus, get all the latest results and full fan reaction to the biggest events in world sport.
It's a wonderful goal!
Satisfy your thirst for sports news with the Talk Sport hit. Subscribe now on Acast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
The Women's Football Weekly Podcast.
With Faye Carruthers. All the action, excitement and drama from across the entire women's game.
Cleared off the line by Steph Horton.
Including the Women's Super League.
Ella Bright is there to tap it in.
The UEFA Women's Champions League.
Lana Clellan striking from outside the penalty area.
And the Euro 2021 qualifiers.
On the edge of the area to Emsley. And Emsley's going to finish it off.
Plus, all the home nations' international friendlies.
Lucy Bronze with the strike from the edge of the penalty area.
World-beating big match conversation.
There's Jodie Taylor.
Subscribe now to the Women's Football Weekly Podcast on Acast, Apple Podcast, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back to Premier League Live. We are looking ahead to a really exciting Premier League clash between Wolves, who are desperate for points and are yet to get their first goal, and Manchester United, who give first Premier League starts to both Rafael Varane and Jadon Sancho. Sancho has come on as a sub for United in the English top flight, but he's yet to start. He will do that today. We've already had a couple of games in the Premier League today. We brought you Burnley against Leeds, alongside an intriguing game in North London between Tottenham and Watford. Here was the action.
Chance for Harry Kane straight away, who's been bundled over by a Thibaut. Big shout certainly from the Tottenham fans for a penalty. That was clumsy from Atibo.
Certainly clumsy from Atibo, definitely. Fortunate to get away with it.
Son has counted in. Well, I'm not sure he was deliberately going for goal, Son, but that is the outcome. And some way to mark his 200th Premier League appearance. Son, from the free kick that maybe shouldn't have been a free kick, was just trying to put it into the danger zone of the 6-yard box, and it sails beyond Backman and into the corner of goal.
Yeah.
Tottenham 1, Watford 0.
30 minutes to go. McNeil puts it in there to Tarkowski. He's hit the bar. Headed away by Cooper. Now it drops. It's gone in. Meslier. What a nightmare for him. And Chris Wood nets against his former side. The first shot on target in the game. And it was Butterfingers, Elan Meslier, who shoveled it into his own net. Burnley 1, Leeds 0. Into the box, and it's driven in. Me blocks, comes back up to Shackleton. It's in. It's Patrick Bamford, a former Leeds striker, scoring against Leeds, netting against the Clarets. We are level here with 5 minutes to go, and 1-1.
So Tottenham have won all 3 of their games in the Premier League so far under Nuno, and they've won them all by 1-0. Let's get a bit more meat on the bone about this latest victory with our commentator Alex Crook.
Tottenham 1, Watford 0. It wasn't a vintage performance from Nuno Espirito Santo's side, but enough to claim top spot in the Premier League heading into the international break. 3 wins from 3 now, courtesy of Son's fortuitous free kick 3 minutes before half-time. It was a cross into the penalty area that deceived everybody in the Watford defence, and the goalkeeper Daniel Backman sailing beyond the Austrian into the far corner. Watford had a lot of possession in the second half, but didn't really trouble Hugo Lloris in the Tottenham goal. And for the first time in the history of English football, Tottenham end the day top of the top flight. On the same day, Arsenal, their great North London rivals, are bottom. It finishes Tottenham 1, Watford 0.
Alex rubbing some salt into Arsenal wounds there. David Connolly, the former Wolves striker, alongside me. David, Tottenham have done ever so well so far. They were really compact against Manchester City, I thought. Rode their luck a little bit maybe at Molineux against Wolves, but it's impressive that they've ground out 3 wins on the spin under a new coach, with all of the distraction of the Harry Kane saga in the background.
Yeah, absolutely. That sideshow, which obviously would have taken an awful lot of attention away from what was going on at that training ground. You know, obviously Nuno, I think, has been a really good signing for them. He's proven himself, I think, at Wolves to be a terrific manager, and he's brought that in. And when you listen to him talking about, you know, what's going on with Harry Kane, I think he said all the right things, played everything down, welcomed Harry back with open arms, and obviously brought him off the bench, started today. So yeah, I mean, they haven't conceded a goal yet, and obviously they did against Pacos in the Europa Conference League, but not in the league. And you know, they just keep going and building, you know, and obviously they're going to get stronger now. You know, sort of now Harry's back in the team and he builds up his fitness.
3 games for Watford. What have you made of them so far back at this level?
Well, you know, I thought Watford have given, you know, considering it is obviously they're a newly promoted team, as you know, it is normally very difficult as soon as you come up, you know, to get some results, but they've been in games. You think of the first one, I thought they were outstanding against Villa, and they got off to a great start. I saw them against Brighton, but I didn't think they were particularly great. I've got to be honest, they didn't really lay a glove on them. So I think they'll give it a really good go this season. You know, they've got obviously Troy Deeney, that issue bubbling away in the background as well. A couple of days to go in the transfer window, and we'll see what will happen, you know. But they've made some additions, you know, Sissoko coming in, but maybe Hughes might be going out, so I think they'll give it a good go. But I think, like all the promoted teams, you know, I think they'll find it hard.
It ended all square at Turf Moor as Leeds came from behind to get a 1-1 draw at Burnley. Let's get some detail from our commentator, James Fielden.
Yeah, finished at Turf Moor.